Good afternoon and welcome to Tech Takes here at the Network Shop in Nottingham. My name's Darren Jones. I'm a cyber solutions consultant with Jisc. My job role is providing Jisc customers and members with Jisc cyber solutions and services to give them advice and guidance around our solutions and services. Today I'm joined by Steve Howard. Good afternoon, Steve.
Good afternoon, Darren. Yes, I'm Steve. I'm head of product for cyber here at Jisc, so responsible for the lifecycle management of our entire cyber portfolio. And we're here today to talk a little around our cybersecurity threat monitoring service that's been in active service for around 18 months now.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks, Steve. We'll ask you some questions. So what are the primary goals for implementing CSTM?
I guess the main goal, if you're looking at the bigger picture, is visibility as to what's happening inside your infrastructure. In terms of it takes all the important log sources and other data feeds that would inundate an IT department potentially into one easily observable single pane of glass dashboard that gives you the confidence that nothing untoward is happening inside your infrastructure. And also one of the benefits of the service, although it provides that observability, we have the whole service wrap around it in terms of our security analysts are monitoring it on the member's behalf.
Okay, brilliant. That sounds good. Okay, so does CSTM, depending on your sort of current security maturity level or infrastructure size, from a customer's point of view?
CSTM can be a good fit for an awful lot of organizations. However, whenever I've spoken to members in the past, I always like to get an understanding of where they are in their security posture journey, because it is not a magic bullet. It's really important that any organizations making their first steps into improving their security posture understand where they are today and make sure all like the low-hanging fruit has been addressed first before they're looking at tools such as CSTM and other SIEM solutions. They're only as good as the data that's going into it and also the controls that you've implemented across your organization. So yes, it's a good uplift, but there's things like important things like such as MFA, lockdown, identity admin, all that kind of stuff. They're the things to look at first before you start getting excited about
defense in depth.
Defense in depth is absolutely right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you, Steve. Is the CSTM, is it cloud native? Is it on premise or is it hybrid? What the infrastructure?
The CSTM platform is fully hosted in the cloud. It's built by ourselves in partnership with Splunk, in partnership with our members of users of the service. It's fully hosted in Splunk's cloud. It is fully hosted in the UK, so there's no concerns around data sovereignty. And over the past 18 months, since we've had the service fully live and active, we've really honed the deployment and onboarding journey to get the member onboarded quickly. It's not quite zero touch, but it's getting a lot more simple for the customer to take it on.
Okay. Thank you. You mentioned data sources. What kind of data sources does CSTM support natively?
Without being too vague, it's basically anything that can create a security log source. However, we don't just ingest anything. There's the important data sources that we're most interested in. So in terms of what kind of technologies, we're looking at servers, albeit Windows-based servers or Linux-based servers. They're almost like the crown jewels, especially when you can if you've got you bring in directory services, Active Directory on-prem or Enter ID in the cloud. They're the kind of key data sources we want to get in. We need to understand what your critical servers are. Which are the ones that a threat actor will go after, which are the ones that contain all that that important data that could potentially be sold on. Those are the critical log sources. We also ingest from perimeter devices such as firewalls, and we do an awful lot of work on filtering those log sources to make sure we get the key elements of those and don't just bring anything in, because anyone that's ever deployed a SIEM will know that the more data you put in, the bigger the bill. So it's a balance, and we work with the member to get that tuned correctly.
Okay, sounds good. Brilliant, thank you. You mentioned onboarding. How long will it take for a customer to onboard to CSTM?
It varies, and that's not me sounding like an MP. Every customer is different. Their infrastructure is different. Some can be very flat in terms of what their estate looks like. Flat network, single domain controller, nothing in the cloud, can be very potentially quick. We look to an average onboarding is around 8 weeks, but that's not 8 weeks of effort. The way we deploy is we get the data sources onboarded, so the customer's systems are sending data into the platform, and we let it run for a fortnight or so just to get a baseline to understand what that customer's BAU way of working looks like, because every organization works differently. And if we didn't do that, some customers would be inundated with false positives and generating alert fatigue. They wouldn't see the value in the service. So we have these tuning periods. We let it run. We tune out what we think to an acceptable level. We then let it run again for around a fortnight. Then we review the data. Then we review it with the customer. Are we happy? Are they happy? Potentially there's a 6-week onboarding journey there. More complex environments may take a further tuning session to get it right. And that's why I say it varies.
Yeah.
But the actual effort involved is pretty much the same.
Okay. Brilliant, thank you. So how does CSTM handle log ingestion?
So broadly, there's I was going to say 2. There's probably 3 main methods of getting these important log sources into the platform. The first one, which anyone that's ever used Splunk, is via the Splunk agent, or as Splunk call it, the universal forwarder. That's a very lightweight agent that's installed on servers. So there's agents available for Windows and Linux. Runs under a separate account. It can't access what it's not allowed to access. That then encrypts the data, or sends the data via an encrypted tunnel into the Splunk cloud. The other way, for, shall we say, more dumb devices such as firewalls, most devices that ilk speak syslog. We deploy a syslog server into the member's infrastructure. That then takes in all these syslog sources, pulls out all the good stuff, and then sends it again encrypted up into Splunk Cloud. And the third way is via API. And when I say API, this is for your cloud stuff, your Azure, your Entra. Essentially, that's configured direct through an API straight into Splunk.
Okay, good. What correlation and detection capabilities does CSTM offer?
In terms of correlation, well, it's anyone that's ever used Splunk knows that it's constantly doing these what's called background searches, looking at what's coming in from one system, what's coming in from another system, and trying to match either identities or IP addresses, things like that, getting a match. And it's looking for things like impossible travel, users logged in from there, but then also logged in geographically from somewhere completely different. That's probably sign of an account compromise, for example. In terms of, we haven't just thrown in every detection rule that Splunk offer. We have built out the majority of our detection rules via intelligence we've gained through our internal Jisc CTI team. They get to see what's happening across Janet, across members' networks, etc. And we can then, and we have built out our own detection rules specifically for what happens on Janet. We don't need detection rules about finance, banking systems, for example, which you'd get in a general purpose SIEM. Ours are specifically targeted at threat actors that operate in the sector. And the other part of that, is, of course, is it can never stand still. You know, I think when it was launched, I'm going to say it had around 30 different detection rules, as in 30 different things it was, or attack types it could detect. Since then, I think we're over 60 now, for example, and those are all rules we've built out ourselves based on what we know, what's happening through CTI.
Great, thank you. Does the CSTM, does it support real-time alerting and dashboards?
It does, yes. So part of the CSTM service is that it can be considered hands-off for any users of the service, because we have our own internal security analysts that are monitoring the systems, picking up any alerts, and then really doing the deep dive into that alert. Is it a genuine threat, or is it, unfortunately, you will get the odd false positive, that's life. But where they do see signs of true threat activity, that's when they will inform the affected user of that service. However, we do provide what's called the member dashboard. So that's a nice single pane of glass that any users of the service can log into and get a real-time update of what's happening, what's been seen across their infrastructure, and details of any alerts that have popped up. And importantly, they can see in real time what our security analysts, how their investigation is going, or have they already triaged it and closed it off, etc. So yes, there is that real-time alerting available.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. What are the storage and retention policies in CSTM?
Retention is probably the most straightforward part to answer. We retain data for 90 days. And that's a trade-off between the value of the data versus time. As time goes on, that particular data becomes less and less relevant in terms of detecting threat activity. A lot can happen over 90 days. And also cost. Basically, obviously, the longer you retain data, the more storage you need. More storage equals a lot more cost. Yep. You know, storage equals money. Mm-hmm. In terms of the ingest, we work with the interested party to understand what their estate looks like. Well, we can work out which what we call ingest band they would sit in to get adequate coverage of their estate. I mentioned earlier around ensuring all the critical stuff is onboarded. The other parts, something I failed to mention earlier, we don't pull in data directly into Splunk from endpoints. We ingest data or important telemetry from the customer's EDR solution they've already deployed to the endpoint. So if they're using Defender, we plug our CSTM system straight into their Defender instance via the API I mentioned. So it pulls in that important endpoint telemetry via that. And that also brings down costs.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. Does CSTM support SOAR, which is Security Orchestration, Automation and Response?
It does. We have our CSTM plugged into our Jisc in-house SOAR. We use XOR, Cortex XOR, and that facilitates the basically the comms from the alerting platform to make sure the alerts are sent out to the member where required. That provides the 24/7 alerting, etc. And importantly, it also brings in that important threat intelligence, the threat feeds we get from the agencies such as the NCSC and other agencies. That pulls that back in. But in terms of the SOAR itself, there's no integration with external systems at all. It's purely for our own internal use.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. What is the current pricing model around CSTM?
So the pricing model is based around how much data the organization needs to feed into the system. That's quite a standard metric across SIEM providers. Basically, the more data you need to put in, the more expensive it will be. we have set up a pricing model essentially in bands. We have up to 10 gigabytes, we have up to 20 gigabytes, and so on and so on. Obviously, a customer that's interested in the service won't have much idea what they need to be in. So that's when that important consultancy area role comes in to actually understand and help the customer understand what systems are important to bring in. From that, we can understand how much data they need to feed in, and therefore the actual price of the service.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. You mentioned APIs earlier. Are there any APIs for custom integration at all?
No. One of the main pillars of our CSTM service is it does what it says on the tin. It's a very standardized service, i.e. all users of the service get exactly the same. We don't see the value in building out custom integrations for certain things that aren't of value to the wider sector.
Okay, that's great.
We're more interested in going back to the detection rules, the use cases, etc. Yeah. It's building those out that benefit all users of the
more sector specific.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. So, what training and documentation are provided to the customer for CS if they want to onboard to CSTM?
In terms of CSTM, I suppose there's two parts to documentation and training. I suppose you've got all the information around the onboarding journey, what's required, what we will do, what we will ask the joining customer to do. And that's set out very clearly in a straightforward document. I think we call it a statement of works. That's issued bespoke to that particular customer. It's not a one size fits all. That leads on after the discovery work we've already done to understand what that customer's estate looks like, so we can build out that statement of work specifically for them. Once it comes to live service, our service management team will run through the member dashboard to make sure the users of the service have a firm understanding of what they can see in the dashboard, what it all means, and also where to go for support if required.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, what's next for CSTM? Are there any new features or capabilities in the pipeline?
In terms of CSTM is the foundation of our SOC. CSTM has been in active service for around 18 months now, has been providing a valuable service to users of it. Since then, we've built out SOC. CSTM is essentially the monitoring and alerting function, so it alerts people of potential threat activity. The SOC almost like completes that loop, so it takes that alert and then adds in the incident response service. So not only can we see an alert or a threat on a member's network, the SOC then enables us to contain or mitigate that particular threat action. There's a lot of exciting things in the pipeline for SOC, which will be announced at our security conference in November. However, a lot of those enhancements that are going into SOC will also start to be backported to CSTM. So users of the standalone CSTM service will see benefits in that space as well. I've already mentioned about the ongoing work around development of new detection rules. We're also implementing new log sources in terms of other devices we can pull meaningful security data from. There's an awful, something that's popped in my head, there's an awful lot of vendors of VPN technology. So, there's not a clear single player out there. So, we've started with what we've identified is a popular option in the sector, but there are other ones out there. So we're building that out. That's going into CSTM right now. And obviously will by default will be pushed out into SOC as well. So that's new features, that's new enhancements. It's probably not exciting because there's no visible change to the user of the service. They can't see the difference. but that enables us to pull in more data from their networks to make the service more efficient. The other part we're looking into is around what are the value add use cases we can add to the platform in terms of, it's pulling in all that valuable security data for the purposes of threat detection. But are there any other use cases we can create from that data for users of that service? One thing that's, pops immediately to mind is being able to search when a user last logged into their systems. It's quite a common ask. When did that account get disabled? Are you sure it's been disabled? Has anyone tried to log in? If you get staff leaver, things like that. And to just be able to offer that search functionality to users of the service, I'm very keen to make happen as soon as possible.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, well, that just leaves me to say thank you to Steve Howard. I'm Darren Jones, and we'll see you at the security conference in November. Thank you.
Thank you.